Welcome to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Reilsono and Steve Mancini. Claudio and Steve will share their business and life experience to help you grow your business and improve your life. Here's Claudio and Steve.
Good evening and welcome to Talking Business and Life. I am your co-host, Steve Mancini.
And my name is Claudio Reilsono, and as always, Steve, it's a pleasure to be on with you again. We've been off for a little bit.
I was going to say, it's just like we took a hiatus, and you know what? It was a much-needed hiatus because some of the folks that listen to the show know I am the honorary Italian consular, but not for much longer. And so I've been trying to see as many people as I can, along with some other, the paying job thing that I do, plus all the other stuff. But also, what's fun is the fact that you and I are working with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. We're going to talk about that because this is a big deal. So Claudia and I, for folks that don't know, are working with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Pittsburgh's professional soccer team, defending champions soccer team. Very good organization. We had Jeff on as a guest, about a month and a half, 2 months now. And great guy. And we decided that, hey, we want to work more with this organization. Made a lot of sense. Italian Pride Night. So we decided to, approach the Riverhounds. They agreed, and Jeff just been wonderful about it. And we're off and running with that. But Claudia, maybe you can talk a little bit more about, what folks can look forward to, with respect to the event itself. Get some details. But also, the event's late July. So if you are interested in supporting the event, we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, one of the things, we have a lot of people from the local community here of Italian descent that we have one girl, Danielle Paston, who's an opera singer who's been on the show. She's singing the national anthem. Then we're going to have something called Italian Leaders in Business Success and Athletics, which is basically we're going to start at one end of the goal, right?
Sure.
To the other. It'll be, Steve's going to be there. My daughter's going to be there representing education. I'll be there. Tommy Yankello, boxing trainer. Smokey Robinson's business manager. Bob Bazzelli will be there. A lot of great names. Missy Bertiotti is an LPGA golf champion. So, they're going to announce everybody, and then we're going to have some other halftime entertainment. We're working on some things. We're working on a pretty big name celebrity to be there. We're not going to announce them just yet. We want to confirm everything, but it's going to be a nice event, and it's going to be moving. The game, then halftime, then back to the game. But it's going to be a live entertainment. It'll be a very fun evening, and there'll be, I'm sure there'll be Italian vendors and food and everything else, and that's always a hit. So we're very excited about it, and it's going very well.
Yeah, and you know what? This is an opportunity. I've talked about this for a long time. People say, "Oh, I'm proud to be Italian. Proud to be Italian." Okay, well, here's an event that you get to. I just waved to somebody live. Oh my God, it's a bad habit. When the window's here, you're like, "Hey, how are you?"
All right.
But no, this is an opportunity to again go out there, represent yourself. Show a little bit of pride, enjoy it. The biggest thing is, this is a championship caliber team, so you're gonna have a good game. And by the way, they're playing Tulsa, who was the team that they beat in the championship. So again, you got a little bit of fun there. But I really encourage folks to come on out. Just come out, have a great evening. Again, we're setting up a lot of entertainment for this. I think it's going to be a really wonderful time.
And we're going to also have some people from the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame there, award winners. We're going to present them as well. So it'll be a great night.
No, I hope a lot of folks join us. But Claudio,
yes.
Enough banter. You and I like to just jump right in with a guest. It looks like we have a very good guest.
Oh, yeah.
I'm reading his stats. But listen, buddy, what have you done for me lately? But we'll get into that. So we had a great guest, but Claudio, take it away.
I've heard this man's name for years in the basketball world, and I don't know if there's a more decorated high school basketball career than our guest today. And our mutual friend, Steve Mastriani, I almost said Mancini. Steve Mastriani, who's a good guy. His uncle, Tom, was my godfather. Steve's family and my family have been close for years. But he had mentioned our guest today. He said, "Why don't you have him on the show?" And I said, "Who is he?" He said, "Tom Pipkins." I didn't know you knew Tom Pipkins. So Tom Pipkins Jr., he's got so many high school accolades. But to box it all in, he was the number one all-time leading scorer at some point for quite a few years for WPIAL. That is a hell of an accomplishment. And I'm
Claudia, you know what? I want to jump in on something really quickly before you, because it's kind of important. A lot of people look at those records and they kind of shrug. But before we get into him, I do want to mention something. Well, especially now, and Tom, we're going to talk about this, but especially now with youth and kind of a disconnect with sports, and it was a lot different 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. That means a lot. the fact that he was disciplined enough. So don't lose sight of, we just say, high school champion, had a lot of records. Like the discipline and the hard work this guy had to undertake at that age to do that, it translated into future success. So I want people to understand, why do we bring a guest?
Successful.
Right. So why do you say, we'll bring a guest and, okay, he has a bunch of high school records? Right. Because when you hear his story and you get to know him, you realize that it's not about records. It's about the person behind the records.
No doubt. He's now the educational professional at Quaker Valley now for 20 years. And I just met him, but I like him already. We've been texting quite a bit, but he's a good man. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, brother. Now, you know what? Looking at all this, I have a couple questions. Number one, do you have all of your trophies and awards in a room? Do you still look at them?
A lot of them are in a box.
Really?
Some of them are in a basement. My wife even puts them downstairs. Like you said, people just like tick it off like it was just supposed to happen, I guess. But yeah, I do try to keep it. Like I'm a keeper of a lot of that stuff. My parents kept up with made a lot of books for me, with clippings and stuff like that. So I have a lot of that stuff. I have brought from out New Kensington out to Hopewell.
Now, do you look back sometimes and say, man, look at what I did?
I do a little bit because people bring me up still to this day. They'll say, I really enjoyed watching you play, or, they were at this game or that game. So I just enjoy still hearing that I'm still relevant as a person for, like you said, for all the work that you put in. Hopefully it'll pay off one day.
All right, Steve, I have one more question for this part of it, but I always like to ask. I'll be 62 in October. I was very, very blessed to grow up in the 70s, 80s, and a piece of the 90s in sports, baseball, basketball, football, boxing, you name it. It was a great era. Do you like your era better than today, number one? And question number two, how would you have fared today? I think you'd have done fantastic.
Well, yeah, my era was definitely, I think, better than what it is today. I mean, I don't really know too many players even like this, not publicized even. So, but I knew a lot of players whenever I was growing up. But we were very competitive, and I think the defense was probably more prevalent back then as well. Like they would. I started having to play against junk defenses when I was in third grade, and I don't see too many people playing against that kind of stuff. They basically throw the ball out there and compete, and whoever ends up winning wins. Basically,
it was less physical now than your
more.
The
better players win now because just because people used to scheme, more schemes, and now it's more of an open game. It's maybe the European game even influences a high school game even.
Okay, but wasn't it a lot more physical in your day?
Yeah, they still let us play. They still let the girls play more than the guys too, though. But definitely, looking on the second level and the third level, towards the NBA, it was definitely way more physical. They turned up a little bit. I watched the playoffs a little bit this year, and they let them play a little bit, just because, I guess because it was the playoffs, but which made some of the games better. I think people probably watched the game more this year than in years previous. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think the game was definitely physical, and it was preached to be physical. And you don't let nobody have an easy bucket, or and defense was a bigger part of the game, I would think.
I was going to jump in on that because we've talked about this a lot, Claudio, about ultimately money ruined sports. There's nothing wrong with getting paid to play, but it got just ridiculous what they're paying. And then I'm not talking about great superstar Michael Jordans. I'm talking about Joe Schmo off the bench makes $5-6 million a year.
Concac.
Yeah.
Remember John Concac?
Yeah, I do that.
So and so it ruins sport. Now you're throwing gambling on that. And what the problem though is, and I'm going to get your thought on this, is what I think the problem then what happens is spectators want excitement, and defense is not exciting, so they want points. That's why whether it's NFL, even hockey, they don't fight as much. It's not as physical. You watch hits, and I'll give you a good example, from the '90s. Man, they'd be knocking guys out, and he'd come back in the third period. How has he not got a concussion? He was knocked out. But now they can spot you from the they're watching from the stands. If they think you took a hit, whether it's football, hockey, they take you out of the game. And a lot of that is because we're paying so much money for these players, we don't want them getting hurt. Well, it's like, you know what? Then make it all touch football or touch whatever. So, I want to go back to your thoughts. You probably been following this sport for decades. You played the sport. You played at competitive college. So when you watch it, how does that make you feel, though? You're like, man, because like kind of a Claudio's question is, damn it, man, if I could play now, you're probably worth $100 million and starting somewhere. So how do you, when you think about the change of sports in general, somebody who's played it competitively and been good at it, what do you think about that?
Yeah, you can look at it from two ways, because definitely they were like using players to make
Use
money
and
off
abuse
of
them,
them.
absolutely.
Because I can remember my jersey being sold in the bookstore at Duquesne, and I didn't see a penny. Now NIL, I probably wouldn't be working right now. Yeah, so there's that side of it, but then on the other side of it, some of these kids, you're giving, like you said, Joe Schmo money and little kids money, and they don't, first of all, know what to do with it. And then second of all, a lot of them probably don't deserve that much money. Like just anybody can make a contract, Whereas there was people that were great and they, take their girlfriend out to dinner or something back in the day, and now you're like ineligible to play, So there was, the business side of it. It was one-sided back then. But you could see why, players, were fighting to try to get a penny out of it, because they were being basically pimped out.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. But then now you throw in. But if I'm paying you that money, I feel like I'm not asking as much out of the players. To your point, go watch a game from the '90s.
Yeah, because
any sport, like watch it now.
Like now the portal, like anybody, you just put your name in the portal and you can go get some money. You know what I mean? Yeah, because
I think I'm going to go start enrolling in some classes.
Exactly. Yeah, really. If I have like a little bit, I could play probably another sport for a semester. Yeah, they took the team out of the game too with that too, right? People are leaving. There's no camaraderie. People don't even know each other.
Loyalty,
and it's one year to the next, and it's a business, like you said. And when you know that, then how close can you get to a person? They'll sabotage you for $1, right?
In your teammates,
and your teammates, and your coach, right? In your organization, right? Yeah. So when you put money in it, it just it makes it ugly. Right,
and it's not, and I don't think that they should not get paid.
No,
but I think it got ridiculous. And then the flip side is, okay, you want to pay these guys $20 million, then don't make the game less contact, less easier. Like, you know what? Now you're going to pay for them concussions because I'm giving you $100 million.
Yeah, the product is hard to watch at times. Like you said, I mentioned I watched some of the games this year, but in years past it was hard to watch. Really, there's some good players, great players, but just as far as teams and competitive, it was hard to watch. The way they play too is like a lot of bad shots. That's why, like now, you can lose a 29-point lead.
Yeah, right.
And it costs you the series whenever you're up, 15.
I just told our producer Joe. I said, for baseball, it's hard for me to watch it.
Yeah.
It really is hard because I know how the soup should be cooked.
Yes.
And to see what I see and to see the accolades and the compliments these guys are, oh, he's phenomenal, he's the best ever.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
They crown you the GOAT too early too.
Oh,
you have a good year and you're the GOAT.
It's like you're a rookie. You're a rookie. Yeah.
You used to have to earn it. Like
Brunson for the Knicks.
I remember earning it every year.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah.
Brunson for the Knicks.
Every year.
Is he the greatest Knick? What about Willis Reed, Walt Frazier?
Oh my gosh.
Bradley, DeBusschere,
yeah, like you said, I played
Monroe.
against his dad too, Rick Brunson. Yeah, we at Temple, and then in high school we played in a thing called the Boston Shootout.
Okay.
He played for the Boston team,
Right.
and I was on the Pittsburgh All-Star team as a sophomore. But basically we played in the Garden before.
Wow.
Yeah, some places where the dead spots are the old Garden too. So I got to play there. I think Juwan Howard was on the Chicago team with I think his name was Tommy Kleinschmidt, if you remember that name.
Yeah.
He was a big three-man with maybe DePaul or whatever. Yeah, we had in New Orleans had a great team. Randy Livingston, he's a great friend of mine. He was #1 national player in the year. He went to school with Peyton Manning. Small world, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 'cause I used to play against him in AAU ball. Yeah, so we were two of the better players.
So I think we're all in agreement that it was better years ago. Now, when you played, for right now, high school ball, did you know who you were? did you know that you were the guy?
Was I?
Yes, you were.
Yeah, because I just always had the mentality, I put my pants on just like any of the other people. Even if they tried to raise me on a pedestal, I would, put myself down there with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very humble as a, just growing up as a kid. I'm like actually real shy, shy type person. But I used to like be scared to fail, and I think that's what made me successful though.
And who were some of your favorite players growing up?
Michael Jordan, definitely.
Sure.
Who?
I try to model some of my game after him. Even like Harold Miner, people.
Oh yeah.
He's a blue collar Michael Jordan type of player. Yeah, he was one of my better players. Jalen Rose, the Fab Five, who a lot of people like that team. I can remember in 7th grade liking Billy Owens.
Yeah, Billy Owens. Yeah. Syracuse, correct?
Yes.
How the hell do I know these things all these years? I don't know anybody now.
Yeah.
But back then, I knew all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so those were some of my better players I tried to emulate.
Where did Billy Owens go high school at?
He was in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
I knew he was Pennsylvania or Philadelphia, or outside of Philly.
Jim Thorpe
Central.
area. Yeah.
All right, let me. I want to kind of go back to something you said as far as staying humble. You work with a lot of kids now, right?
Yes.
And so you have been working for decades, and you see the way things are changing. 20 years ago, kids didn't have cell phones. And it's amazing because it's not that long ago when we were using flip phones.
Technology.
And then,
I remember not even having a phone.
Right, but me too.
Just a pager. You were like, go to the cell phone.
Right.
I mean, to the
payphone, drop a quarter in,
yes.
there you go. But when you see that transition, how did you find it harder? Because you're trying to kind of instill positive values in a lot of these kids. You're trying to teach them right. You talked about before, you mentioned life skills.
Yes.
And you're trying to teach them life skills. Do you find that it's getting harder and harder, or you feel like people are people?
In education in general, it's becoming harder just because, it's become political, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people who are struggling, and then basically it comes to the school, like in their home situation or whatever, so you end up having to deal with that. We do have like programs like we provide meals for them, like lunch, probably even send stuff home with them at the end of the day. But like we try to become more involved in the home, but yet they try to separate the home and the school, which it works together, but like if you make it political, it works against each other too, So we're trying to do our best, and I think a lot of educational people, even around me, we had 7 people at the high school where I work at just this year that retired, Some of them are of age and some of them aren't. Some of them retired kind of early. They're looking for a second, little swing at life or whatever, So it is, there is a lot of fatigue, mental, maybe physical, and you do, like they try to say, don't take the kids, home with you or whatever. Are you human or not, But that's what the thing becomes. Are you humane? We do a lot of things, especially as a educational para, a lot of things that like people don't know about that we have to do, or that they're not even in our job description, or that something like at school should be doing maybe. But we do whatever we can to make the kids feel as comfortable as possible at all times, and make them feel accepted. Which wasn't even a thing whenever I grew up. You got picked on if you you stood out, right? Yeah, I remember like a life skills where I work at a lot. People who were of special needs or handicapped even. They might they put them in a certain wing away from everybody whenever I went to school. Now we try to include them. They'll be right in the classroom with an honor student. Yeah, so their interactions are more involvement. We have a thing called Best Buddies as well. We try to integrate the students and the life skills with regular ed students, and we collaborate them, and they do a lot of things at school and outside of school to make them all feel included, right?
Let me ask you, can I go back to, you said don't take it where it's not. I'm a professor, and this is kind of my 3rd career.
Okay.
And, when I start, and I still do, I care about the kids, and especially you look at them kids, and you connect with them personally. You look at me like, man, this kid don't have a clue. You're trying to give them advice, and sometimes they take it, and sometimes they don't. Ultimately, you're hoping you're planting a seed. You plant a seed, maybe later on it'll sprout. You may not see that now, but 20 years from now, they might think of something you said that might change their life.
Yes.
But, you want back to say, are you human or not? And I agree with that. But there is a line to be drawn because, you don't want to take, how much do you take home? But how can you not care?
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a leap of faith that you may not take the kids home, but you can't do a job like this and not care.
That's what you said. And there are people who you cross, they're just for for the buck or whatever.
Right.
But like me, I don't make too much, so it's not about the money necessarily. Like you're gonna basically either care or not care. And you can see people who do care. You can tell, and the kids can definitely tell.
Kids can sense that,
and they do. And they will come and confide in certain adults as well, too, about certain adults.
Funny you say that because I got kids who will come to my office and they'll talk about their profession. I try and keep it profesable. I let them vent, get it off, let it.
Try to keep it one way, but like you said,
but on other you're like me. I know this guy's an a-hole, but
hey,
what do I do?
You try not to throw anybody under the bus, but you might shake your head a couple times, right?
The kids you work with, do they know about your career, high school and college?
I think they're just finding out, some of them. I've been in the, in certain media, like throughout my career, working, even in education. And Twitter's a thing now, I think. Sure. I'm not on any of that stuff, or whatever it is. Yeah, but whenever that came out, I think that people started seeing, because there'd be blasted. They'd be, hey, I didn't know that about you. Or the paper, it's just, they would never know that. I'm not going to tell them, really. Other people do tell them. And I do work with a few people that, know me from that previous life of mine or whatever.
One time, Lenny Wilkins, one of the greatest players of all time, he went to a practice, and he was up in the years, and Shaquille O'Neal said, "Who is that guy?" Because he was, shooting a little bit. He was doing pretty good. He said, "Who is that guy?" And then he went up to Lenny Wilkins. "Did you play?" Lenny Wilkins says, "A little bit." Then somebody went and told Shaq what this guy did. He said, "Oh my God!" But now, some of your high school highlights. If I say to you, Tom, name some high school highlights, what pops into your head?
Championship that we did win in the WPIAL my senior year, and then also the state championship that we lost. Yeah. See, people think it's always the victory. You remember them losses more than anything. Just remember winning a lot. My freshman year we didn't even make the playoffs. I can remember that. And then every year after that, we made it a point to at least would make it to the quarterfinals. And we finally turned that corner my senior year. So that's probably the quickest things I remember. And then there is the record, I guess. That was like a third, fourth spot or whatever.
You still have the ball that made the point?
It's somewhere. Somebody didn't throw it in the garbage yet. But, yeah.
I hope not. It's got to be in your house somewhere.
Somewhere. Yeah. We probably ran off the.
Go get that out of the garbage can and bring up out of studio. We'll take a couple pictures.
Now you went to Duquesne.
Yeah.
What other schools were in the running for? I know you had a ton of offers, but what other schools were you narrowing it down to besides Duquesne? And
there
why?
was definitely, like, Penn State was an option. I really liked that. Coach Parkhill's staff, Gary
Bruce
Dunn,
Parkhill,
Dunn and those guys. They were DeCellis or whatever. Yeah, I can remember those names still. They're good people because they went on, like to other places even after they left Penn State or whatever. And they were like real good. They treated me well up there. And then I can remember UMass was an option, but then Calipari was the head coach there.
Right.
I think they gave me a plane ticket on Monday, and then they signed somebody, maybe Carmelo Travieso or something.
Travieso, yeah.
But he called me. I knew Calipari because he used to come to my AU practices and talk to me and stuff. But him and who's that, Brucer
Flint.
Yeah, Bruiser. Yeah. So they would recruit me up at UMass, and then. They sent me a plane ticket, but pulled it. Basically, they said I could still come up there and visit if I wanted to, but they had assigned somebody. Okay. And then Xavier, they did the same thing to me, but they did it on a Thursday night before Friday. So that my dad, he started panicking at the time, after that, and he was like, "You better pick a place," but so Duquesne was definitely an option for me too, because it was like. I thought between Duquesne and Penn State, kind of they were the same, and then but they were just closer, 3 hours closer. You know. Then there was Pitt was big too. You know, I could have considered Pitt, Paul Evans, or what at the time. Basically, they did some little recruiting stuff behind my back too, be promising me the world, but you know, they had a second plan. You know, those were like probably the big. But I had other schools that wanted me too, like West Virginia, because we only were allowed to take 5 visits. So 2 of them got reneged on me, basically, right?
5 total?
Yes. So I could have took the other visit, which was West Virginia, and Coach down there at the time, Catholic, he became pretty angry at me for not scheduling a visit. But I was going to take an unofficial visit because I can drive down. It was driving distance. Okay. But that didn't happen because he became angry. So, and it's the irony of it, I lost 2 visits out of it there. So I only ended up taking 3 anyways, right? Yeah, so, yeah, that's how the business, that's when I knew it was a business and, you know, like, you know, smoke. You know what I mean? A lot of smoke.
They were trying to romance you.
That's what you said. You try to stay humble because if you don't, like you said, kids, now they let people blow their head up or their peers with that social media. Yeah. I would push a lot of that stuff away because I knew reality. You know, I've been on both sides of that politic thing. So,
and I'll tell you what, a lot of social media is smoke and mirrors. You watch it, think, oh, this person's like they got the thing where they got the influencers and they take these pictures in the mentions, and you find out like they're just renting it for a weekend to make you think they're a millionaire. So you start following and think, oh, this person must be important. They've got a mansion. Yeah. It's all fake. Yeah, it's all fake, and people fall for it. They think, oh, look at this dude in the mansion. You know, he must be successful, or she. You know, so I got to follow them, and then they're going to sell you a business plan. You know, and you're going to be like, oh, well, they must be rich. They're living in a mansion, right? Yes. And then you buy. That's right. A lot of people haven't done anything. They just made you think they did something. Right. Then you buy into it, and now they're wealthy, and they say, look, I'm wealthy, I'm successful. Let me tell you how I got here. Well, I got here by smoke and mirrors. Yes. You know, we're going to come back right after a commercial because I do want to follow up on how all of this influences you today, especially when you mentioned remembering the losses, because I do think you gain a lot more through tribulation than through victory. So we'll be right back after this. Yes. Hi, Pittsburgh. I'm international award-winning filmmaker Steve Mancini.
My name is Claudio Reilsono, professional baseball scout and media personality.
And I'm Jeff Garner, president of the USL defending champion Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Join us on July 29th as we take on FC Tulsa.
We'll have halftime entertainment and celebrity appearances.
Join us, Forza Pittsburgh, a celebration of Italian heritage in Pittsburgh.
Bring your whole family and enjoy a night of Italian food, music, tradition, and Riverhound soccer.
So get your tickets now, and remember, that's FMB Stadium, July 29th versus FC Tulsa.
Forza Pittsburgh! Ciao Chrissy, your Italian got so much better. Brava!
Grazie. It's because I learned the best way possible.
How so?
Well, I learned that with apps, grammar books, and even YouTube videos, I could only get so far. I had to immerse myself. I noticed I did best when I was in Italy visiting family. That's where my level really soared.
And wow, did it work?
Thanks. I became much more confident, fast. That's why I created Footsteps Through Time. It's an Italian language experience. You don't just take Italian classes, you immerse yourself in a real Italian village. With lots of fun activities and excursions, it's life-changing.
I see. So, no more boring grammar, impersonal apps, just real conversations, real culture, and delicious food, of course.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this. Learn Italian by actually becoming part of the local community for a week and living it. So if you've been dreaming of Italy and the language, check out Footsteps Through Time in Italy.com. Book now and join the experience.
Andiamo!
Thanks to Greater Pittsburgh Travel. For any of your travel needs, let Tom and the team at Greater Pittsburgh Travel know, and they'll take care of you. For more information, call 412-331-2244 or visit their website at www.greaterpittsburghtravel.com. And we want to thank the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. If you're interested in learning more, you can find their contact information on Facebook at Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. Again, thanks Domenica and the team at the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh for your support.
Hello everyone, my name is Claudio Reilsono, and I am the author of the book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up, How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. my years as a head baseball coach and a general manager of a pro baseball scouting company, I know that my leadership experiences that I've included in this book will help you become a better leader. You can get the book at ClaudioReilsono.com. Speaking of ClaudioReilsono.com, you can listen to my show, The Claudio Reilsono Show, where I've interviewed such legends as Mario Andretti, Dick Vermeil, Rocky Bleier, and many, many others. And I also have an entrepreneurial program there talking about my entrepreneurial experiences. So hopefully that will help you, and hopefully you will enjoy that. And also, Sports Corner, hosted by Ralph Williams, co-host with myself, Jim Frazier, and Luther Dupree Jr. We appear on 92.5 FM, 1250 AM, The Answer, Salem Radio, every Saturday here in Pittsburgh, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy all the shows, and I hope you enjoy my book.
We'd also like to thank Chris Gonzalez from the Knights of Columbus. If you have any questions about joining the Knights of Columbus, reach out to Chris Gonzalez at 412-605-9074.
Mother's Day is the most disappointing day for mothers. Don't send Mom a text. Show her some love with a book that will make her laugh out loud. Buy her Come On Down, a little story about my Italian mom's big dream. Writer Fran Tuno tells the underdog story of her Italian mom's need to win big, feed people, and pray her kids marry and give her grandchildren. Plus, Come On Down has delicious recipes. Moms love those. Find Come On Down on Amazon and all large retailers. Learn more at frantunno.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Mancini.
And I am Claudio Reilsono, and we are the hosts of Talking Business and Life.
Join us in celebrating the Italian community on June 28th as the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds. This ticket package includes an exclusive co-branded Pirates Italian-themed jersey and loaded value to use on concessions and merchandise during the game.
And remember, a portion of each ticket purchased through this offer will benefit a local Italian charity.
So hope to see you there June 28th as the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds. All right, welcome back. And Tom, I want to chime in on something like I said before the break. You know, you said I remember the losses too, and I think a lot of people do. A lot of people, it motivates them. You think how many people, how many teams say they lose the championship, and they are so close to the apple, and they're just now it's motivation. Now I'm going to train hard in the off season. We're going to get this time, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. It obviously paid off, but when you think back, were there lessons you picked out of playing that drive, for example, what you might talk to the kids about, or just the way you act, or things that you do? You say, I learned that from the game.
Well, I think now, you definitely, your determination, like some kids, don't, like people in general, they either have it or they don't. Like if you have to be motivated to want to win, that should come natural. Right. But there's some people don't have it though, the drive. That's what made I think about how now a lot of that Michael Jordan people talk about now it's coming out some of the stories people didn't know how insane he was, but that's Kobe, same thing. He has the drive to want to be the best, not just to be great or to be good. They want to be the best, so that takes a lot to even do that. And then there's also, you have to be disciplined to want to do it every day. There's a lot of days where, whatever your passion is, your sport or your desire in life, you might not feel like doing it, but you got to do it to be great. Like somebody else is doing it right when you're not doing it. I just heard Kobe Bryant's story, yesterday. Actually, he was basically trying out for some. Some big man camp and some little man camp in the NBA. They would basically you choose which one. He did both, but he would come early and work out before. He would run on a treadmill for an hour or whatever, and then he stayed after both of the camps too. So he would work out 4 times a day, and you wonder why. He became who he was, right? So I think that. In life, anybody who puts that much time or effort into something, you're going to become a lot better at it, definitely, and you might become the best, right? Then you got to set goals in anything you do too, as well, because if you're just out there every day just doing it, you're probably just break even, and you might get worse. If you're not getting better, you're probably getting worse, right? Heard that saying before, but. you have to like set goals in life and whatever you want to do to become better. Just it might just be attainable goals, but some people shoot, real high, and then if they fall a little bit short of that, they still, real successful. So you have to figure out which type of person you are in that too. And you have to have a good support system in whatever you do. That's very important, I think, in life. Whatever your sport is, you better have some people around you trying to make you better. Because, like you said, you'll have people like just pumping your head up, and then you become complacent, and you're probably not going to get better with that either. Then if you have people like who are driving you whenever, or telling you like you're not working as hard as you can, you probably work harder.
It's funny you said something though, because it doesn't matter what it is. People, it's like they don't want it. It's just like they don't care if they're good at something like anymore. They just like they don't care. It's like right. They want to get paid.
But get it done. They just do it to get it done. Yeah.
But I want paid. I want paid. Check the box. I showed up for work. Why ain't I running this company? I've been here 6 months now. I should be running this company. But you know what? I'm also leaving by 4, coming in 2 minutes late. Stopping to get my mocha. But I've been here 6 months. I should be getting a pay raise to be the CEO, and that's the mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's every kid, but I do think that stereotypes have some truth in them, and I think there's too many kids that they don't have drive, just in general.
It comes too easy. I think for some. Like I think that like you said, you're going to get it anyways, type of thing. They started giving out participation trophies and. People joke about it, but it is kind of true, though. If everybody knows you're all going to get the same thing or the same wage, right? Or, like, you're not going to advance, that happens in companies now. Like,
right.
There becomes a time like, I used to work real hard, and then, like you said, now, like, no matter how hard you work, you're still getting the same thing that this guy who's not doing nothing is getting. So why are you going to keep
well, it's funny, not to get political, but that's why things like socialism and communism don't work.
Yeah.
Because there's no incentive. If I de-incentivize you that, hey, if you work harder, you'll get more, if I take that away, it's kind of like, then why work hard?
And I think that's where people's drive comes in, right. Especially as an adult or whatever when you get older. But as a child, like, you should want to be, like, better because, like me, like, I was young, I used to see, like, okay, like, if I mess up, like, it's going to cost me, I can see that as a young person, but like some people can't see that. I guess they're living for right now, like not even just like in the near future. Some people live for today, and they don't even like gotta worry for tomorrow. But some walks of life, you gotta worry for tomorrow because there won't be a tomorrow if you don't do today. Right.
It's kind of what I was going to lead into. Greg Norman, I say this line all the time. He used to say, "I'm preparing for my life when I'm no longer #1 golfer in the world," yes. Which is something I'm trying to do baseball-wise. One of these days, it might not want me, or I might not want it. So I'm trying to prepare for when it's over.
Yes.
When did you start thinking about your future, your life, your career after basketball?
Basically, when I was in elementary school, even Yeah. Yeah, like you start thinking, like a lot of people, like I said, I had to tell people, like, I don't know yet, you know what I mean? Like somebody, you're going to the NBA? Like, no, it might not happen, I knew that was a definite possibility, and I knew how hard it was to do stuff like that, But some people don't have that vision, I guess, But I knew that I had to basically become a, hard worker at a young age and jump through all those hoops. Like if you didn't jump through those hoops and you missed them, it could probably cost you. Yeah. I tried to stay straight and narrow. I didn't, do too many. I tried to have fun too, on the way. But, I tried to stay, straight and narrow to try to get to, definitely through high school and then try to graduate college. It was a thing, I think, back then.
Yeah. Now, did you have pro aspirations?
I did. Times I basically wanted to, I was always a lot of times the best one on the court, So I don't know how I really didn't make it, like I didn't really get, too many tryouts like people do. Maybe I was before my time a little bit, but, now a lot of people get it a lot easier, I think, get a look, I did end up tearing my knee up after my senior year. I went to a little camp, up in Chicago, where the Chicago Bulls play. I think it was Deerfield, Illinois.
Okay.
So I did go to, try to, pursue it. And then I played in the summer league in Pittsburgh, tore my knee, had my first child, which was my daughter, and then, life kind of changed. And
Yeah, a little
you
bit.
started looking at, like you said, I knew, like, at an early age that was a possibility that, life, depending on what happens in life, it can, turn your, career into your basketball career into a different type of career.
Sure.
And that's what I chose.
Now, you know what? I'm going to ask you a personal question because, you kind of said, like, hey, people, you're going to go to the pros. But a lot of kids are told that, and they don't understand. They're one knee injury, they're one ankle injury, they're one wrist injury away from it's over.
Yes.
And if you didn't think, and it's not that you shouldn't go all in on your dreams, but you got to know, especially when it comes like physical, that your body is your body, and it can break. And it could be something you didn't even do. It could be something somebody does to you in a game. Somebody could knee you a good shot, tear a knee. That's it.
That's what happened to me.
So when you look at that, you talk about that but hey, I can do this, but I got to remember maybe it won't happen. So I'm gonna keep staying on the straight and narrow, because if you knew, if somebody told you and you believed 100% I'm gonna be in the NBA, you probably would have made different decisions. It don't matter. I'm gonna be in the NBA. I'm gonna be in the NBA. So I'm gonna ask you a personal question. Do you look back and have any friends along the way, especially in basketball, that maybe you think about and say, man, if he'd only done this or done that? You ever think about people like that? You ever have friends like that didn't maybe work out the way it worked out for you?
There are definitely some very talented people who I encountered in my life, they just might not have the home life or, the grades, or they were involved in the streets. Growing up where I grew up in New Kensington, you do see a lot of people like that. And then I knew, people even in Pittsburgh who, there were some great people. I'm not even going to mention even names because, I still love them today, no matter if they were successful or not, But I know how hard it is to, stay the straight and narrow, through life, how it is these days, especially for some of these kids. It's too easy to get involved, or it's too tempting for a lot of people. But there are a lot of people who I, have seen who I was like, wow, he's going to the league, or, they should have been in the league probably, but probably I should have, If I'd have did this or that, maybe a little better, I might have. You never know. There's people who, I thought I was better than that are in the league or made the league. So definitely, life situations will determine, who makes it and who doesn't. And you can't use anything really as an excuse, because there's people who, they had everything, and then, like you said, then they got hurt, or they made a bad decision, one bad decision, and it changed everything. And some of them aren't even walking this earth anymore, And I've seen people like that too, that, they passed away. Some of the better street ball players I knew, some of them aren't even here anymore. But, I did encounter a lot of people through, my years here playing.
Does that help you? Kind of like the way you interact with kids? Like, you kind of think back, people like that at all?
Well, that's why you try to put a bug in people's ear, and they have the No Child Left Behind. People think about special needs, whenever you say that, but that's everybody. There's people in communities who are left behind. There's a lot of children who nobody's looking at, or they don't think anybody's looking at. But I even walk the halls where I work at a Quaker Valley, and the kids who nobody talks to, I'll say hi to them. I'll try to make them feel like I see you. You know what I mean? Because some people in life, I don't think nobody really even notices them. There are people who go through life and they're not seen. Definitely. Yeah.
Who are some of the people in your life growing up that you didn't want to disappoint? Warren Buffett told Alex Rodriguez, there has to be someone in your life that you don't want to disappoint. Who was that for you, and who influenced you, motivated you, some role models?
Well, I was lucky to have two great parents, who were influential to not only myself and my siblings, but also to others in the community. People know who they are. My dad was a teacher as well, high school, Kiski area, and he also taught, some like good classes like German and stuff like that. So he was a rare, African American, definitely, right? And it's funny, I ended up doing the Chinese Mandarin program at Quaker Valley, So I was facilitating that because the teacher quit on us, So I helped to do that, So that was like, maybe comes from him, My mom was a nurse, so she was always caring and, towards anyone, And she was involved in the church too, and I didn't even know this until like recently. And she passed away in 2020, but they used to call her the piano lady, which I just knew her like she played the piano, the organ, and sing all her life. It was just like came second nature to her. So she very talented. My dad was one of the better athletes around Western PA from Clairton as well too. My mom went to McKeesport. But they grew up, in those mill towns, and you just didn't make it like to where they made it, just by, silver spoon. Definitely, it was hard work. They had to go through the grinder. My dad was the first black quarterback at Clairton to start. Basically, and people like still talk to me about him or whatever. They call him the GOAT from out there. So he was a 3-sport athlete: football, basketball, and baseball. And then his siblings even tell your daddy should have pitched, and people tell me, So I guess he was a real good pitcher, even pitcher and a quarterback. So that's why I get a lot of stuff from them. That's probably my first 2 role models, which I'm lucky to have that right in my own household. Growing up. Some people don't have that or are unfortunate to have that. Then you got, I was fortunate to have, hardworking siblings and support system right there too. I didn't want to please or didn't want to displease anyone. So I aimed to please always. Like even in my own household, I was trying to lift our name up. You carried that name, then you played for your community and your school, and your friends, So if we used to go play pickup and we would go somewhere else, but we would take our team, that was from that era, right? So we were known and we run the courts a lot of times too and not lose. So that's where you get your pride from and your hard work. And then it started paying off maybe later in, life on the court, But I developed it. I was like also one of the first kids when I was 8 years old. My dad kind of made me play with the men, at JFK. And there was like a lot of people from a lot of areas came in and grown men played there, So I grew up playing grown men basketball at 8. And by the time I was 12, I was actually dunking on them,
Nice.
Yeah, and became one of the better players on the court when I was 12, So that's when I became a legend kind of on the court in street ball and, on the, organized basketball, as you used to call it, yeah.
Well, okay, now, again, some role models maybe in the business world. I know I had a ton of sports role models. And then growing up, my interests kind of changed, and I started reading more business people that were in sports. Magic Johnson, George Foreman, Greg Norman. I can go on. Alex Rodriguez. I've mentioned a ton of them. Fran Tarkenton. I read every day those guys, or I watch them on YouTube. Who are some people that you studied maybe in the business world, whether they were athletes or not?
Well, you have to admire, some of the better players like. Denzel Washington became very popular. He came from, not much in New York or whatever. Then you got to look at Oprah Winfrey,
sure,
how she became. Then you look at, like you said, there's people who were business and athletes, like Michael Jordan, what he did.
Isaiah.
He did some stuff too. And then locally from, I just seen him a couple weekends ago, Billy Varner.
Oh, yeah.
I got to know him at a young age because my dad and his dad were good friends. And I was just mentioning, I was very fortunate to get to know him. He went overseas and became Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan over there. He had his own cologne. I did have that as it.
Oh, wow.
I was 12 years old. I had his cologne, So I had people like that to look up to, the people were tangible, and there was people who they were on TV, but he was very tangible because I shook hands with him and actually, looked up to him.
What did he do after his career?
He actually right now he's in security. He's working for Cedric the Entertainer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he's living in Las Vegas right now.
Good for him.
Yeah,
good for him. So you did study guys and how they went about things, and
yeah, basically you in the business world is you said where I grew up at, it was a lot of people didn't have, unless their own family had their business. It wasn't much of a thing, for and you say business, you got your construction, a lot of construction workers, and then you got your family restaurant type people, and then just the corporate world. I mean, we really were a blue collar area. I know people, but it was more like real estate. People came up on that, and then I was lucky to know my coach. He was he owned a Dairy Queen. So talk about business. Oh, wow. He was a coach and Dairy Queen owner. So he ran his own Dairy Queen. He was an entrepreneur, basically, right? Sure. Yeah. So we got to see him, do his little thing or whatever there, and then a couple other people in the community who I knew. Mr. Oldbeater was a good friend of his, but he did some more of construction, I think, or something like that. But he. Came up and he was you could just tell, with people, they dressed like normal and, walked around just like anybody else. Like you said, it was just a blue collar area. So you knew a couple people had some money, but you didn't know, necessarily because they didn't put themselves above you. We all ate together and, broke bread together, that was rubbed elbows together. So it was more of a community. We didn't look at the money as a separator. Right, right. Business was basically to become an entrepreneur. You knew a couple of people who did that actually, but then most people didn't even get that opportunity back then. Now, with the technology and all that kind of stuff, you don't have to even leave your home, and you can become, your own business. Sure. Right. Phones and everything. You can run your own business out of your own home. Right. Yeah.
All right. Last question. Now, you got kids. What's the most important thing you try and teach them?
Basically, to love everyone, and you want them to always know that you are there for them too, no matter what too. You support them in all they do, no matter who they become. But basically, you want the best for them, definitely. But just children in general, they're like a blessing, because some people can't have kids. Some people have to adopt, and some people can't even do that, right? Because they're not eligible or whatever, right? So to have a kid, that's the best blessing to carry off your offspring too, your name. They don't understand, a lot of kids don't understand. That's you. You look at them you actually would do more for them than you would do for yourself. You should always put your kids first in everything you do once you have them, because, like you said, they can feel that as well too. Like you said, the importance of a child is sometimes it's to make some people look in the mirror, really look in the mirror at a human, because some people look in the mirror at themselves and then they can't or accept it, first of all, and then some people don't take it seriously. But if you look at a child, that's another life, and that's you. It's a reflection of you and your other half, basically. It's one of the best blessings that you can ever have, and sometimes it's a disguise. I was fortunate to have a child when I was 23, and then I had my second one when I was 30. But I had to grow up quick, anyways. But that makes you grow up real quick, So
I was 20.
See, yeah, you become a young adult, and if you don't, then some people grow up with their kids basically. Right. When you have them early.
Babies
that.
Raising babies. That ain't always a good thing. But
hopefully, you're the mind who controls the situation, because sometimes the kid is the smarter one, Yeah, but like you said, if you have a child, you should always, let them know that they feel like they're loved at all times, and then that you're there to support them, and then basically it's the best thing that you can imagine in life.
Real quick, tell us about your responsibilities now at work at Quaker Valley.
Right now, I work a lot with the special needs and in the life skills situation. We do go into other classes with other students or whatever and help out as well as a paraprofessional. I've been fortunate to work in a class, where I kind of ran the situation. I also been in a lot of classrooms like where I helped out, and I do all the work too. Like a kid can't say, oh, this is too much, because I don't get no grade for it, and not all the parents do it, I guess, but I think if you teach somebody something, you should know what you're doing. Yeah. So I do, I'm a student all over again as well too. Mm-hmm. So I do all the work that they do in the classes I help out in, and I try to get the kids to learn 3 different ways they say you should teach someone. So, all right.
Very nice, very nice. Steve, anything?
No, but I do want to thank you for coming on. This is I personally like these interviews because I think they're more it's more real, it's more like personal. Like I want to know you. Like Claudia and I always kind of joke about this. When we bring somebody on who's an ex-athlete, for example, I don't honestly. If I want to know how many games you won, how many dunks you got, I'll go look that up. I don't need that. Mm-hmm. I want to know you, because by knowing you, I understand the man now that was capable of doing that.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people that could do it, but they don't. And to your point, you probably met people that probably have more talent than you. So why didn't they do it? Well, there was something. I hate to say it like this. There was something broken. Mm-hmm. Whatever it was, was it family life? Was it the environment they were in? Was it just their spiritual? Something was broken, and the person that may have had the talent didn't do it. So what made you successful? And that's why I like interviews with folks like yourself, because I feel like I get to know you and you find out, I know why you did it. You're a good dude. You had a good family, probably pushed you a little bit. You had siblings, probably rode your ass, a little bit. I know you probably fought with your brothers and sisters, whatever, when you were a kid. So now you look, say, I get why I know why you did well.
Let me ask you this, so how was the transition from star athlete, to the business world?
Well, basically, it's I think a lot of athletes go through it too. It's like you have to accept it, but you might not be ready at the time when it happens, depending on how it happens. It
might not want it.
It might be abrupt, like in my situation, how he said, it was like somebody else kind of like influenced my situation where they jumped on me because they thought I was going to try to dunk on them. And I was like in street ball situation kind of, but it was a summer league, sanctioned summer league or whatever. So sometimes like, in life, you don't know when it's going to come, and a lot of people got anxiety because of, even myself, like you don't know, you're looking over your shoulder for, something bad to happen. But like it's hard to accept us at first, definitely. And a lot of people carry that guilt or the anger, through life a long time, depending on how successful you were, if you got to reach your goals or not. I was fortunate enough to have done a lot of stuff where people still remember me to this day for things I done on the court or wherever, or on the field or whatever, because people still remember me playing football as well too. But a lot of people, it's hard to accept at first, but you better learn to move on.
And
the longer it takes you to accept it and move on, I think the harder your life will become in the long run.
We got to end with Steve Mastriani.
Okay.
Steve's the best.
Shout out to Steve.
Oh man, Steve Mancini. That's right.
Right.
His uncle Tom was my godfather, and my dad grew up with Steve's father, and obviously my godfather. And this guy Steve is as good as it gets. I mean, he is a wonderful, wonderful person. Nobody has anything bad to say about Steve. He's just a good and a funny guy too. He can tell some stories about some old time Swick League guys. But so, how did you and Steve connect?
Me and Steve, we're family, basically. Familiar, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
he should be with the celebrity at the Italian Heritage Night.
He's more of a paisan.
I do. I was fortunate enough to, like, even my son, like, he was the vice president of the Italian club at Hopewell. So we
hell
we
no.
have a lot of Italian in our
I think we have
in
our
our
guy.
heritage and
One
in
of our
our
guys.
Okay, July 29th, we're going to see you at the Pittsburgh
July
Riverhounds.
29th. You guys
Mark
take me
that,
down.
mark that on. Mark
Speaking
that.
of Riverhounds, shout out to Gene Klein too. That was a good friend of mine too. He was one of the founders basically of with the Riverhounds. He worked with them before he passed away a few years back. Yeah, but me and Steve, we go back. We're my wife's cousin is actually basically they are married to his daughter.
Okay.
Melissa. So Josh and Melissa, they've been together for a long time now. They have two lovely children together. We're basically, me and my wife are like the godparents or whatever for one of them. Yeah. And then the other one is like ours too, that's family.
That's nice.
Yeah, so me and Steve, I've known him for a while now, whenever he was still doing the carpets on the grinding, but he was always a great man.
Sure is.
He's basically a connection between me and you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he connected us. Yeah,
I know I've seen you before,
Yep.
but now that I see you in life. But he was basically our connection. So
Well,
that
we're
was
going to stay
great
connected.
man.
You're a
Yep.
good man. You're
You
a good
too.
man. I appreciate you, and we really appreciate you being on our show. And I think we may hook him for the 29th. I'm good.
I'm actually good with that.
I'm
No,
good.
I'm for real. We're writing that shit
Bellissimo,
down.
huh?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Make sure you get some manja. Huh?
Another guy was Keith Starr.
Keith,
He was on.
I just met him last year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
He grew up around, the Italians and stuff.
Yes.
Swickley was just a
Yeah.
different community back.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
That's it. That's how ours is too. It's like a lot of people would come there, and that's what Steve said. He used to go out to New Kensington, where I'm from, and then there's a lot of Italians out there as well.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of connection out there. Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate being on, Tom. I've been hearing your name for
appreciate you
1,000
guys.
years, man, and I'm blessed to have you on. So thank you.
God bless you
God
guys.
bless you guys.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom Pipkins. Steve, thank you. Steve Mastrani, thank you. And Steve Mastrani is paying me every time I mention his name. What do you call it? Residuals. But we appreciate our audience tuning in. Don't forget about July 29th, Riverhounds, Italian Forza. What the hell was that? Forza Pittsburgh. I should know that.
Pittsburgh.
And why do they make us wear scarves? I've been hearing about that scarf for the
people ask me about this. I said, it's a soccer thing. I mean,
That was
But
actually
anyway.
my first sport I played was soccer.
there you go. See,
But
He's
we appreciate
gonna be
the
there.
audience. July 29th, Italian Heritage Night. And as always, thank you, Mom and Pop. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for listening to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Reilsono and Steve Mancini. Tune in next week for more impactful business and life experiences with Claudio and Steve.